Hello viewers. Marriage is a beautiful thing, especially when couples work together to make sure that the union stands the test of time. Today in this show, we are privileged to have a couple who have gone through a raft of experiences. And they're here to share their story with us, just to encourage and to be able to uplift anyone who's going through the same thing. On set today, I have the Mololos. Karibuni.
Thank you so much.
Yes. How has been your journey from Nairobi?
It was very good.
Yes.
Yeah, and enjoyable.
So tell us something about yourself just before we begin.
My name is Bernard Mololo.
Yes.
I'm a husband to this lovely lady, Grace Anyango, and a father to a lovely daughter, Alina Mwende. Yes. So
And what do you do?
I am a data clerk at an organization that helps children living with HIV in Nairobi.
And I'm Grace Anyango Mololo, a wife to this handsome cameraman and a mother to a very beautiful daughter called Mwende. I'm a sales manager at a boutique in Ruiru. Yes.
I just love how the two of you have described one another. It shows that there's so much going on between the two of you. There's so much love. Like the vibrance in your introduction was amazing. Tell me, how did you get to that point?
Well, we've gone through challenges like any married couple, but during those times that we went through our challenges, we managed to find our weaknesses and to work out on those weaknesses and to appreciate each other the way we are. We appreciate, as in we take each other as a total package. That is why I describe him as my handsome cameraman.
Great. Now, what would you say these experiences that made you guys realize what weaknesses he has and what weakness you have, and being able to even pick it from there and working on your weaknesses so that you can gel as a couple?
Well, our journey started in a dating site. Actually, we met in a dating site, in a HIV dating site. And both of us are HIV positive. And so at that time, I needed somebody because I'd already finished my campus. So I went into a dating site, I put my details there, and I got so many feedback, but I chose him. I think it was just God sent. So after dating for quite some time, we decided that we are going to live together, and we started living together. I was actually in Nakuru, so I moved in to Nairobi. We really had challenges. We didn't go through like counseling. We just started living together like that. So there are these challenges that kept on piling and piling and piling. That there was this one day last year, we had been gifted with a wedding after he proposed to me. And 2 weeks to my wedding, I decided to leave. Actually, the issues had piled up in my heart. They had piled up so much that on this day, they just exploded, and I decided I wanted to leave. And mark you, it was 2 weeks to my wedding. Everything was almost prepared, but I couldn't go on with the wedding. I knew it was going to break him down, yes, but it was a good break. We had the financial challenges, the being irresponsible, like really irresponsible dad, not sitting down and sharing issues. Like when we have issues, we couldn't even sit down and talk about them. We were like you have an issue, somebody else says talk about it, and that is it. The other party is not supposed to talk about it. And when it got into me, I just left. It was very unfair, yes, I know it was to him and even to the people that had gifted us with the wedding, but I just had to do it.
From what I gather, is it because of the pressure, the external pressure, or was it because of you two at that point not being able to talk as a couple and sort out issues?
It wasn't because of the external pressure, actually. Yes, there was external pressure, but actually us two not sitting down and talking, you know, the way we have the traditional culture, like men are supposed to just talk, and you as a lady, and me being the kind, humble lady, I'm just supposed to listen and be submissive and not to air any issue that we have. So that was how we started our marriage. And we didn't have we are orphans, both of us are orphans. We didn't have mentors, we didn't have anybody who will tell us this is the right way to go, this is how we do it. You're supposed to do this when you have an issue. We didn't have such kind. So when things had really piled up, I knew I wanted him to change. And me wanting him to change, the only thing that was going to change him was me leaving, me giving him time. I don't call it like a separation. I don't say it like we separated. I always say we just give each other time.
Okay.
Time to learn that we had our own weakness. I had my own weaknesses. He had his own weaknesses. And I had to work over my weaknesses. And he too had to work over his weaknesses. And funny enough, when I left, I actually went and put off my phone. I didn't want him to convince me because he's a sweet talker. So I knew the moment that phone was going to be on,
yes,
he's going to convince me to come back. But I didn't want to come back unless there were changes, unless we could sit down and talk the issues out, unless he could admit that here you are wrong and I'm going to change. Here you are also wrong and you should change, then I wasn't going to come back.
Allow me to ask, what are these things you really wanted him to change? Because I want to believe when you first met on the dating site,
yes,
this is a social platform where most of our character is not shown.
Yes.
But by the time you settle down with someone, you start realizing and noticing a few things here and there that he never showed.
Yeah.
But now they are becoming evident that this is who Ben is.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the things you really wanted him to change?
I wanted him to be a dad, a husband, and to love us first before anything else. Like, he used to get his money, he's in a payslip, but he couldn't think of us first. Okay, me, according to that time, the way I saw it, he didn't think of us first. He thought of himself first, because if somebody getting his salary and the first thing he does is to go and bet the whole of it, not minding what you're going to eat, it was really painful. I bared with it for like 4 years. He was doing the same, and I could go to my brothers and ask for money, but I wouldn't even tell them what was the money for. But we had to survive. He was the one who had a stable job. I didn't. Back then, I was bitter. Really bitter.
I like your expression of what you felt then. But talk to me about what you feel now. Once you moved out of the relationship and gave him time to think about what you wanted for the family, not for yourself or for himself, did he get to change? Did he become the person you wanted while you were away? Or did you have to come back and actually instill in him again what you really wanted him to be?
You know, sometimes we have this notion that living is what will make him better. Living our own man is what will make him better. But that is not the case. We are normally told that we make that imperfect man to be a perfect man.
Yes.
So me separating from him actually didn't change him, but it did make him realize our worth. Because I left with his baby. I left with his baby, and it was really difficult for him. So he kept on, after a while, I opened my phone and he kept on ringing and convincing me that he has changed and begging me to come back home and begging me to come back, and he just wanted to have his family back. So I needed that change even before I came back. But I realized it couldn't happen.
Okay.
I had to be there to witness the change itself. So with the prayers, with God's intervention, I decided I was going to come back, but not really back. So, because at that time I had already gotten a job in Ruiru. I couldn't leave my job and just come back and be a housewife. One of our problems was financial issues. So in a way, they say 2 hands are better than one.
Yes.
I had to help him out. So I decided to give him, one day I just decided to give him a chance. And I told him, now I want to see this change that you promise. You have changed. I want to see it. So I came. I used to come over the weekend, and happy enough, Bernard could not send you money, take this money and do some shopping or do this or do that.
Yes.
But nowadays he does. I don't even have to ask him. I know when his salary, I've worked in his organization as a locum.
Yeah.
When maybe a locum is maybe somebody has gone for the leave, you come in and you work there. So I know when they pay them their salary.
Yes.
I don't have to ask him, but I just find an M-Pesa. Babe, I've sent you something. Please do the shopping. And the rest of it, you can do the saving.
And that will make you feel loved and taken care of.
Kabisa.
All right. We want to give a chance to Ben to be able to tell us what was going on through his head as all these things were happening, as Grace was away from him. What really spiked the need for him to change and become the father that Grace wanted, the man that Grace wanted? So, Ben.
Yes.
This is your chance kujitetea, kujipigia debe, and do all those things. You have heard what Grace has said.
Yes.
What she wanted from you,
yes.
in you,
yes.
and as a father. So talk to us. What was going through your head when Grace was telling us what she was telling us? Yeah. And what has been your experience all through your life with Grace? When you met, what were your expectations? Were they met? And what happened to you? What happened to you that led to her deciding to actually take a break from you? And who are you then and who are you now?
Yeah, thank you for welcoming us here. I have never felt like I don't love to have a family. My desire in life has always to have a family. Okay. And for me, I loved Grace when I met her, and until now, I still love Grace.
Okay.
My love for her has never gone away from my heart. So, as Grace said, we met through online. And this happened because one time I am HIV positive, and one it reached a point I am a human, and I needed somebody to love me, and just have somebody to love and be in my life. So this time I was like, I am positive. I got a girl who was negative, and when I disclosed my status to this girl, she left me, and she said she cannot date somebody who is positive.
Please, just allow me. I know I didn't want to interject you, but there's something you've just mentioned. By the time you met Grace, she was negative.
No.
She was positive.
Yes, she was positive. And that is
you
where
were also
I'm going.
positive. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So what happened is, when this girl left me, I felt so awkward, and I felt so bad. So I just decided now I need to look for somebody who is my status. And that's how I ended up in those HIV positive sites. So the first time I opened those pages, I met Grace, written a comment there saying that she's looking for somebody, and she had given her number there. So I took the number, and then after a few days, I decided to call this number, and only to find Grace, and we talked, we dated. She was in Nakuru, I was in Nairobi. Then at the end we met. After around 3 months, she came, she met even my siblings, and there is where our love life started. I think it was back on 2015, around July there. Actually, right now we are celebrating 5 years being together. So this, it happened that I really loved and I love Grace. And I am a human. And sometimes you might never see the importance of those people around you, or you just assume. So I think it had reached a point where I was like, I'm just used. She's my wife, so she cannot go anywhere. She has my daughter. This is my family. So it was just normal. So one day, after 3 years, we went to up country in my in Kwale County, and I just saw how Grace was happy. Before even we made that trip, she was like, "We must go. I have to know where you are." You know, when people marry in this urban towns, you just stay in town, you don't go to Shagu. And Grace just made me so happy, because where I come from, it's very far and it's really interior. And she was so happy, people welcomed her. Then when I came back, I said like, I really think Grace really loves me, and I really love her. I need to do for her something. And then that's how I ended up doing a surprise birthday for her. Not because of media or what, just because I loved her.
Yes.
And I wanted to see her far. Now it happened that one day we had this wonderful wedding which was planned, and it was remaining 2 weeks. I go to work. I come in the evening, and I'm waiting for Grace. Grace was volunteering somewhere, and here in the afternoon I'm not seeing her. I'm wondering where she is. I go to the school where we were taking baby Mwende, and there the child, I'm being told the child is not there. I don't know where my wife is. We have 2 weeks to do a wedding, and people are calling me. Grace ako wapi, apime gown. It was like that. So there is where I realized actually this is now the real thing. She has gone. And one of the things that really disturbed me, she was mteja. And the fact that she was mteja, for me, I knew this is not Grace's decision. And even her, she knows, I always tell her that because Grace is a very strong woman, and I knew Grace wasn't afraid to tell me anything. And there is where hell broke loose, and I was so depressed not having them. I really loved them, my daughter and her. It was one of the lowest moments in my life. I became so depressed and I started looking for her. I was even put in antidepressant because I was even diagnosed with bipolar. And people were like, you are the cause of Grace going. And yes, there were some challenges we were having in our relationship. I was addicted to betting because of the responsibilities that I had. And when I started betting, it was just normal, where some friends tell you, hapa unaweza make do. But I didn't know this thing can turn up to be an addiction in one's life. So there's a time I had posted in Facebook that I needed help before even this birthday of Grace, before all these things. And some people in Grace's family and relatives, they took it as a pinning point for me, what I know and what I believe, to make Grace walk out of the marriage, instead of calling us and talking to the two of us as a family. And number two, it was like Grace has said, us exposing our status online and through that birthday, I think it also contributed to them advising Grace to walk out of the marriage. Because me, what I know about Grace, and I've lived with her, Grace listens to me. And if Grace could have talked to me, we could have maybe solved this thing. But yes, she had talked to me so many times, but I think what Grace needed is somebody to come and talk to both of us. And considering that Grace had stayed away from the family like for 4 years, she also needed to find a place in that home, in their relative place. So all these things happening, it came to hit me. Yes, I did a mistake. Sometimes I could neglect them just because of the addiction. But I never thought it would reach a point where Grace will go and I can't talk to her. It was one of my lowest moments in my life. And I took a post and posted in Facebook that I can't find my wife and I don't know where my daughter is. And this affected me, and that's how I became bipolar. So during the sessions for counseling, I discovered one thing. I never loved myself. And if I never loved myself, I couldn't love my family. And I sat down and looked at the reality of things. Number one, do I love Grace? Even before I love my daughter. Because I met Grace, the first one. And I said, yes, I love Grace. Do I love Mwende, my daughter? And I said, yes. So what do I do to make them come back? Because for me, as long as I was not talking to Grace her in person, I knew it wasn't Grace's decision to walk out of this. Grace yes went there, said the challenges that we had in our marriage, but I don't think she said it for her to walk away. So there is where my turning point was. I decided to love myself. And one thing I was sure about Grace coming back is, Grace, when she came back to Nairobi, she called me. And we met in Uhuru Park. And when we met in Uhuru Park, she was living in her brother's place. And the fact that Grace called me and told me we meet, I just knew this guy loves me. And there is no doubt this decision, it was not just her herself. So that's how we met, and we started working things out. And as Grace has said, that wasn't even a divorce or a separation. It was just giving her time, giving me time. And I always tell Grace, I thank God she walked away at that time, because it has made us love each other more, understand each other more, and be there for each other more. She has this love I've never seen before for the 4 years we had. She has this just big love. And I also, as she has said, I think she has this love. I also have this love she has never seen before. So we are happy. When she came back, she told me that the fact that she wanted to do work. So I really sat down and said, it is true, I should not bring Grace to come and stay in the house. And I said, because she has asked me this, let me allow her to work. And I allowed her. If I empower Grace, Monday will be okay. If I know what Grace is doing. And you can ask her, I always ask her, what are you doing? What is happening? Because I care about her. And I know when she's empowered, my daughter will be empowered. And I want my daughter to see what the mother is doing. And that's why she stays in Ruiru works there, and me, I work in Dagoretti. But we find time for each other. You see, we have come from Nairobi to here for each other. But one thing we said, we will not involve our relatives ever again in our marital affairs. Because one thing I learned personally is most of the relatives are not just us. Many couples and young couples, the relatives contribute in their separation. Yet, instead of offering solutions, and you might find these people are supposed to be together, but just because somebody somewhere sits and decides for you and says walk out, yet they have not walked out of their relationship. Why should somebody come and tell you that instead of sitting the two of you down?
I want you to hold on to that question.
Yes.
We will come back to it when we come back from the break. They say anything old can be made new, and even gold goes through the furnace for it to shine again. Truly, this marriage is a definition of old going new. When we come back from the break, we will be delving further into what they went through and how they were able to deal with their issues. We will be back shortly. Hello guys, we are back with Ben and Grace on Bittersweet Love Talk Show. So where you guys stand right now, you have both narrated your sides of the story. So I would again want us to illustrate using our G's. After telling your story, where do you both think you stand?
Well, we said the lime means the bitter.
Yes.
And the mango means the sweet.
The sweet, yes.
So for now, me, I'm at the sweet.
Bring it. I am also
On the sweet.
yes.
They say love is an amazing thing and love surpasses every other thing, yeah, in a relationship of marriage. And your love is a testament that anything can work if only the couple would put effort to making it work. But most of the times you realize that as much as you're putting in the effort, there are other factors that are pulling your effort apart. And in this case, I am talking about family, friends, your status, financial status, and every other thing. I would like the two of you to talk to me about your status. You mentioned in this show that you were both HIV positive,
Yeah.
and you met on a social platform for the HIV positive persons who are looking for love. How did you find yourself here, and how has it affected your marriage?
Well, I'll start by saying, for me, I got to start my medication when I was 8 years. Around 10 years, I was a little bit young. So during that time, I used to have a swollen chin. And they used to think that it is mumps. It was one side swollen. So my relatives, back then my parents were already gone, they were already dead. So my relatives who took me to the hospital. And during this lab test, going through the test, they were told the final test they had to do was the HIV test. And there came my HIV status. That is how they found out that I was HIV positive. But because they didn't know how to disclose it to me, because they were also in shock, my uncle came to disclose to me when I was in Form 4, and I'm the one who actually approached him, asking him, because I'd taken the medicine for almost like 8 years. I didn't understand. The swollen chin was already healed. I didn't understand why I was taking this medicine. And me being in boarding school, he used to ask me each and every single time I'm back at home, do you keep on taking your medicine? And I knew what he wanted me to answer, so I will just say yes. But I didn't actually know. But I had that suspicion, that small suspicion that this medicine, they couldn't be for only the chin. There must be something hidden. So when I finished Form 4, during our time, you used to wait for like 2 years, and then that's when the exams come in. I was a sickly child even before then. So one day I just approached my uncle, asked him, how comes I've been taking this medicine for as long as I can remember? What are they actually for? Because you know, when you start maturing up, that those times you become very curious. So there was this time they used to pack, when I started taking my medicine, actually, they used to give you a whole packet of it. And like nowadays, they just give you the bottles. So I went and took the prescription inside the box and I read it. And it was saying for you to be prescribed this medicine, you had to have either HIV, hepatitis, or maybe kidney failure. I wasn't immoral because I was a virgin during that time. So I didn't think of being HIV as one of I ruled that out. Then hepatitis, I didn't know what actually that was. Kidney failure, I thought maybe kidney failure, you had to have like some swollen kidney or something, or you are supposed to be very sickly in bed. So I went and approached my uncle, asked him, I used to call him Daddy. I asked him, Baba, I've been taking these medicines for almost 8 years. What are they actually for? And he told me, Grace, yes, you've been taking them. And I know you're very curious, and for real, this medicine are not just for that chin that you had, that swollen chin that you had, they are for HIV. And that is how I got to know my status.
How did you take it?
At first, I was in denial. It was a bomb. It's like my life just started then, because I couldn't believe, like, even in my childhood, I didn't like the men group. I always love to have my own time. I think when I'm all alone, I'm a loner person. I'm an introvert.
All right, just hold it right there. Ben, what has been your experience with your status? How did you find out that you are in this particular situation, and how did you take it?
Okay, for me, I realized I was positive when I was taken to Nyumbani Children's Home. I never knew, only my relative, my uncle knew, me I never knew. Me and my sister, we were taken there, and when we were there, that is when I discovered we were positive.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a shock on me because 2 of my siblings were not positive, but 2 of us we were positive. And that's how I knew, and that's how I started medication back in 2002. But in that home, at least I was scared, and I ran to take my medicine.
Okay.
But the reality of being HIV positive hit me on when now I started working, and I was looking for a partner.
Okay.
And I got a negative person, and I could see the reaction and the way I was left stranded.
Nikuacha kwa mataa. Yeah.
But in another way, being HIV has blessed my life because I couldn't share my stories. I have gone so many places because of my status, and I have met the most beautiful woman in my life.
Now, I don't want you to go there now. We will go there just before we conclude with the show.
Yes.
Allow me ask this question. It's rather personal, but just allow me put it across.
Yes.
Answer it the way you feel you can,
Yes.
and the right way you can. From what you have told us, you picked this disease from your parents.
Yes.
It was not your doing.
Yes.
You were not immoral,
Yes.
but you were born with it.
Yes.
How did the rest of the family and friends take this? How did they treat you? Did they accept you the way you are? Have you gone through ordeals that with family members that you would want to talk about, and that used to be something that really hurt you then, but now you're okay with them?
For me, when I grew up and realized all this, I feel my relatives could take care of me. But I think they were scared. And that's why they sent me to a children's home. And I remember it isn't, I think some of them were in shock and they feared. And I really knew this when I wanted to marry. And I approached one of my aunties, and she told me, you can't marry because of your status. That one spoke a lot of volumes to me till today. And also being positive, and that's why I believe that's why they don't support my marriage because of that.
So you would say, one, your family really interfered with your life?
Yes.
And would you say that your family at some point neglected you, and that's why they sent you to the children's home? How did that make you feel?
Very, very bad. And I have fought with this thing of self-hating my family because of that. And I always say they don't support me, maybe because of my status. Because I always see them supporting the other cousins and all other. But when it comes to me and it comes to my family, and when I say my family, I mean Grace and my baby, I always see that difference. And I love them, but this has made me keep them at distance for a reason.
All right.
Yes.
But it has also taught you how to be yourself and depend and draw a lot of strength from your family, which is your wife and your kid.
Yes.
Grace, what has been the level of family interference in your marriage? And how have you been able to handle it?
Well, I at least went through a relative. Actually, I was taken in by relatives even after knowing that I was HIV positive, but it wasn't easy. Actually, my aunt, who was a distant relative of mine, there were times when they would have issues with my uncle, and he would tell him, wewe unasomesha mtu anaenda kukufa na HIV, si hizo pesa badala ya kumsomesha, why don't you give it to me? You know, that is stigma. And I was a young child. I didn't even want to hear that because it was very painful. You have not already been told, you've not been disclosed, but here you are, your name is being mentioned.
Yeah.
It was very stigmatizing. And at that time, I just knew, yes, I was HIV positive. Yes, nobody has told me my HIV status because by then I had not approached my uncle about my HIV status. But already I could see, it's true, I'm HIV positive. And you know, as a young child, there are those times that you misplace your medicine, you put them here, there. So there are those times my uncle would even be accused of being HIV positive. But he would keep quiet to cover up for me. My uncle was nice. I can't say that she was bad. But my aunt, I'm telling you, I went through hell. Then came my marriage, and we didn't have money for the dowry, and I went and explained to them, we've just been gifted the wedding, and my husband is not that well off. So can you just give us your blessing so that we do the wedding? And they were like, kutoa mahari ni lazima atatoa. Like they didn't want HIV to be used against mimi kutolewa mahari, me being given, like...
They didn't even consider that
yes.
At this particular time you were not financially stable.
Yes, they didn't consider. In fact, I tried begging them, but they didn't. They were like, lazima alete ng'ombe. If your mom aliletewa dowry, then you also lazima uletewe. They didn't care. Then after I left, they were one of my advisors. Yes, I can't, according the way Bernard had just said, they were one of my advisors that I should leave that marriage. And I left. Yes, we had issues. I left, yes. But on going there, I came and realized this is bullshit. I can't let my relatives control me, even at 31 years of age.
Yes.
So I just had to move on with my life.
Yeah.
And I came to realize they had no good intention for me, because after I left, we separated for an year, yeah?
Yeah.
And during that 1 year, none of them ever called me.
Yeah.
So I realized they didn't have any good intention. If I decided if the wedding has to come on like right now,
Yes.
I'll go on with it. I don't care if there'll be any relative on it. The most important thing, what I can remember one of the priests saying, the most important people in a wedding is the bride, the groom, and the witness.
Yeah.
And that is it. I'm very ready. In fact, there was this time I told him where I'm working, you know, HIV is like COVID right now.
Yeah.
So it's not written on the forehead of anybody. You can't know that somebody is HIV positive, just like you can't know that somebody is COVID positive and COVID negative.
Yes, true.
So there was this time men were really, most of my clients are men. So men were really disturbing me. And I told him, I need a ring back. And he told me, are you sure? And I was like, yes, I need the ring back. I need to prove to these people, like when I tell them I'm legally married, I'm surely legally married, even though me myself, I know I'm not. But staying for 5 years, surely I am.
I think even our constitution now provides for that. When you stay together for some period of time,
Yeah.
you're considered as married.
Yeah.
Ben, let me ask you a question. What's with this ring? And why did you take it away?
You know, I had proposed to Grace a surprise proposal for marriage during our first day. And before we separated, we were to be made a ring. So we had to remove the ring which she had to go and
Use it.
to be sized like this one. So that ring never came back when Grace went. And here one day in the evening, I see a message in WhatsApp, and she tells me,
I want my ring.
babe, I want my ring back. And I'm like, really? Are you sure? Why? Then she told me, okay. So when she came to the house, you know, she worked far. So when she came, she told me, I want a ring. And we had to go and buy that ring and return it. And that's why we have this proposal ring.
Okay.
And we are ready now. We are sure about our love. In all these challenges we have passed, I don't think there is somebody who can separate us. And I think our marriage is ordained by God. And I will tell Grace, even we don't need a certificate or what. It's already, we have proven that we love each other. We have proven it in ourselves. And we just need that blessing of our priest and God. And we move on with our lives happily, God, and we are very happy.
Yes. Are you sure? You know, they say ladies are visual beings, and they love weddings. I know the two of you really love one another, from how you speak about one another and how you treat each other, and how you've been able to take up all these fights for one another. But they also say that ladies enjoy a lot when they go through the process of wedding and having an affirmation that they now are you and you are them. Grace,
Yes.
if today an opportunity cropped up and someone said, we still want to finance your wedding, would you still want to walk down the aisle with this handsome man of yours?
Trust me,
Yes.
back then I used to ask God if this was actually, I was job hunting back then before we separated. And when the wedding came as a surprise, I used to ask God, was this the best you could offer me? Not even a job, but just a wedding. But right now, have no answers for God. Like, I don't have any questions to ask God. If it comes right now, I'll not just take it, I'll grab it.
All right. This question has been like in my head since we started this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ben, what is the one thing that you really missed about Grace when she was away?
I missed her smile.
Okay.
I missed her smile. I missed her bothering me, like, awkward.
But most men don't like that. Most men don't like. They say women are nagging when they ask them, where are you? What are you doing? Uko na nani?
Yeah, that time I felt that. But now, and that time she went, I felt like these small things as men question our ladies.
Really
They are the
matter.
sweetest things in marriage.
And she missed my dancing too.
Yeah.
I love dancing. In fact, each and every single time I go visit, he always tells me, babe, ni dance yetu.
All right. And what did you miss about him?
So much. I miss the way he loves cooking, by the way. And funny enough, when we met, he didn't know how to cook chapati. The only thing he knew was just basic things, but I taught him how to cook chapati. Then we used even to bake cake. Nowadays, he bakes cake like every week. Like, that love gives him the morale to even do the baking. Then he posts the picture. Sometimes he knows we are coming over the weekend and he bakes the cake. And when we come, he's like, surprise. Yeah. I just miss his company.
Okay.
He's a lovely person. He's a kind-hearted person. And he's talkative too. You can never get bored when you're with him. In fact, when we are together, he talks much to an extent that he can even ask me, babe, am I talking too much? And I'm like, no, you're just okay.
What would you say is the one unifying factor in your marriage? What makes your marriage work? I know you love one another.
Yes.
But there's something apart from love that keeps you guys tightly together. What would you say this is?
Our lovely daughter, Wendy. I wouldn't want her to be brought up with relatives like I did. And I know he wouldn't want our daughter to be brought up in a children's home like he did.
Okay.
So it makes us strong. It makes us, like, wherever we have issues, not like back then we had issues and we couldn't talk about them. Right now we have issues. We cannot sleep until we talk about that issues. In fact, there was a time we were talking and I was telling him, yes, we have emotions. Sometimes I might tell you that you're doing something wrong and I will be like against whatever you're saying. But I've already told you, it's your time now to change.
Okay.
It's your time to prove me wrong. So right now, wherever I see something wrong, he's doing something wrong, I always question him. And when he's doing something wrong, he questions me. And because of our daughter, we are always like, okay, we have to work things out. Other than love, our daughter does.
Then, what would be the unifying factor in your marriage apart from love? What holds the two of you together?
As Grace has said, our daughter, Monday here, we really love this girl, and she's our gift from God, and we saw that we shouldn't let Monday grow the way we grew up with the relatives in our children's home, and we want to give her the best life. That one day she will say, my parents were there for me, and we give her what we never received, the motherly love, the fatherly love. Yeah.
You both have talked about conflict in marriage.
Yes.
As we wind up. How were you able to sort out your issues? I think I'll start with you, Grace. There was so many conflicts in your marriage, as you've put it, like family.
Yes.
You had your own issues with Ben, and you had your own internal conflicts. You're fighting within yourself about certain things. How did you go about this, and how were you able to get out of that?
For family, right now, family will always be family. We cannot change who our family are. But for me, we decided that we are going to set them aside, let them be family from aside. About me, myself, I was also struggling with self-love, accepting, loving myself, loving who I am. But right now, trust me, I really love myself. Like, I always would want to look good, not just to impress people, but just to feel good, to have that high self-esteem, to feel good about myself, to remind myself how beautiful I am. Even before anybody else can tell me that I'm beautiful, I know I'm beautiful.
Ben, talk to us.
Even before I comment about that, I want to say Mwende here is negative. And we have to make that clarification, because for her, that's why she's our pride. She's negative, even if both of us are positive.
Okay.
Yeah. So about us, for me, I really love myself now. And that loving myself has made me love my family. And as Grace has said, we decided our families are our families and we love them. It's not that we know they are human beings, and human beings are prone to make mistakes, and also as we make. But I think the way my mother was married to a certain family, my father married from a certain family, and those families respected their marriage, and that's why we are here. Also them, they need to respect our marriage, and let us raise our daughter with her two parents, biological parents, and that is what we are working on, growing this family to be a better family.
Okay, I totally appreciate that, but there's an issue that I really needed you to shed more lights on. The two of you had issues. Grace, you had issues with Ben, his money, his gambling, addiction. Ben, you have really not highlighted a lot of issues you had with Grace. But if there were any, how did you as a couple sort this out? I know Grace has mentioned that you would not allow yourselves right now to sleep before you sort out an issue. But back then, when you had these issues, before you came together, or that day that Grace came back and you sat down, how did you go about these issues?
Number one, we decided to be transparent with each other, and transparency in everything. And that has helped us a lot, because in the past, like for me, I wasn't so transparent, and I used to lie to her so much. But one of the things that has made us be now able to solve our problem is transparent in everything. Finances, happy moments we share, sad moments. If somebody wrongs me in the office, I tell her, I'm in the wrong. And for me, I don't even have to talk to Grace for 30 minutes before she tells me the whole week how it went from Monday to Saturday. So I am able to be part of her life, and and she's able to be part of my life through transparency. Yes, I now know who I am working for. And one of the greatest things is when you know you are working for your family, and when you know the job you have, yes, for you, but also to make your family better.
Okay.
And yeah.
Grace?
Well, we talk about our issues. Each time we have an issue, we talk about them. We've been able to be more trustworthy towards each other. And wherever we know this thing, you know what used to push him so much into gambling was the fact that he wanted to provide a heaven on earth for us. Yeah. And yet, he couldn't. So right now, I gave him that ultimatum, you give us what you have. We are not asking for more than what you can afford. Okay. Whatever you have, that is okay with us. If you have nothing and I have something, I can be able to chip in. Right. So right now we are like working together, like we are one. Mm-hmm. Back then we used to work like we are all separate.
Separate, okay.
Yeah, so that has really helped us. And by the way, you know, during this time that we separated, even after separating, him not seeing his daughter for like 1 year, do you know when I brought the daughter back, the bond became so strong that I became jealous. I was like, this guy he wronged me. It's the cause why I left. And then here comes the baby, and the baby is like, daddy. In fact, he used to call him like 1,000 times. And I became invisible. This is a bond I can't be able to break, okay, no matter what.
You know what they say, daughters and fathers?
Yes.
They are the strongest bonds.
By the way, when we are together, I become invisible. Yes. He becomes visible. Mm-hmm. So that I cannot break. Right now, we sit together, we talk over our issues, we sort out our issues, and we move forward.
We really appreciate you coming to the show and sharing your story. And we do hope that this will go a long way to encouraging so many people. But in 1 minute, if anyone was out there and they're touched by your story and they need to do something for the two of you, or even for your daughter, what would you tell them?
So if you want to get in touch with us and you have been inspired by our story, you can go to Facebook. I am in Facebook, I'm Bernard K. Mololo, and you can inbox me, or you can inbox Grace. She's Grace Anyango in Facebook, and you can get in touch with us. Or you can go to YouTube. We have a YouTube channel we have started with Grace called Motivation Kenya. We just want to inspire people, and especially the young people and those who are starting marriage or those who have challenges in marriage. And we are discussing these stories open, real stories, and inbox us, and we'll be happy to respond to you.
Do you want to share your number?
Yes, I can share my number, 0716 31 87 61. That's my number. Okay. And maybe Grace can share her number.
Well, my number is 0759 000 585. Thank you so much.
Just as we conclude, what would you tell a couple that has just realized that they're HIV positive, or one of them is HIV positive?
In the Bible it says there is nothing impossible for God. Kneel down, pray, and let God give you strength to be able to accept your status, to be able to accept your partner. And it is possible. We are here. We are positive. HIV is not written in our space. We are healthy. And we are a negative baby. And we can also tell those couples even if they are negative and they are going through challenges, it is possible to make your marriage work. God hates divorce, and in the Bible it's written that God hates divorce. Please don't allow your children to live without their biological parent just because of challenges of life. They are workable. It is possible to solve them.
Okay. Grace, do you have a word?
Yes, having lived more than 20 years with HIV, well, it's very possible for a new couple. And you can get in touch with us. We'll be able to give some encouragement, some word of advice, and to take you through. I know it's not easy. Denial is real. Default is there, but you can make it. If we made it, if somebody else made it, and we being a perfect example, you also can make it. We have our contact there. Please get in touch with us. Those who are looking for couples and they want to start dating, you can also get in touch with us. We'll connect you with a link. Then you can also get some handsome men like Bernard here.
On that handsomeness point, Ben, what is the one thing you want to tell Grace as we conclude?
I'll tell Grace I really love her, and she's a woman of great strength, but bearing with me and my weaknesses, and I really thank her for realizing our love for each other, and I'll never stop loving her.
Okay.
And she knows I can fight for her when I have decided. So, feel loved.
Okay. Grace, do you have anything for?
I love him too. I love Bernard so much. And not even relatives can separate us right now.
All right. That is it for today. But just before we conclude, I would like to share a surprise with you. Two surprises, actually. One is that the director of Slick Events, Jesse Omwa, would like to actually offer you a free wedding at a day of your time, month of your choice, a place of your choice. So you would need to think about this. Give us a day. All right, I'll just let that sink in. So when you're ready, just get back to us, and that will be sorted out. And also the director of Simpix Photography would like to cover your wedding for free. So we are hoping you will be able to give us a date so that we can communicate and have this planned and see how best we can help you legalize your marriage. I know this is something you have wanted to do for a very long time, and we would want to make it work for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
We really appreciate, and may God bless Slick Events.
okay.
That was a big surprise. And the director, photography, thank you so much. May God bless you. And yes, we are ready for it. I'm a great lady.
Visa.
I can see it's something that you have really wanted to do.
No lady.
Yes.
No lady, you can say, can't want to walk down the aisle.
Okay.
It's every woman's dream. And it's it's also my dream.
All right. That's fine. And Ben, there you have it. So you need to prepare yourself. And on that note, we would like to conclude this week's episode on Bittersweet Love with the story of one amazing Grace and one courageous Ben. And until next time, this is your host, Alton Njumba.